All right, and we are live. Hey, girl.
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm always good when I get to see your face and be around you. I'm just pulling my phone up to make sure that even though StreamYard is telling us we're live, that yep, we are live. They can see us. So right now we
Awesome.
are live on my personal Facebook page, the PowHER Network Facebook page, and YouTube. So just FYI, we multi-stream.
Okay. Fantastic.
So hey, hi, and then you should be able to see the comments on the side as well.
People have made comments
Yeah, can you
already?
see?
No, I don't
Mm-hmm.
see them, but that's okay.
Okay, I thought you could. The other day, some people could. Okay, so hey, ladies, hey, everyone that is joining. We'll just give you a couple of minutes because I want to introduce my amazing friend. I am wearing a shirt that says "Lead Her" today in honor of the founder of the Lead Her Academy, and we're going to get into that because I'm so proud of her and you guys know I conjugate every word that N and ER to HER, but she has actually created programming and a whole product set and an academy around this that she's traveling the country with. Hey, ladies, thanks for joining. And so I'm excited to have Uneeka here with me today. I'm glad she could fit us into her schedule. I'm just going to give the usual disclaimer of I have children somewhere around.
Same here.
and and so I have, yes, so Tatrice said Philly in the house.
What's up?
Sankithia is on. Ardina said, aloha, ladies. Sharon is on with us. Thank you, ladies. How are you? So I really wanted to get Uneeka on anytime I can get Uneeka on. First, I just want to thank Uneeka. Uneeka was my absolute first in-person guest for PowHER Network 4 years ago. And she actually came to Milwaukee and then traveled to Chicago with me.
Yes.
And we got introduced through a mutual friend, and the rest has been history. And that mutual friend just introduced us on Facebook, and we took it from there. So,
Absolutely.
first lesson of the day: if you got a friend that you know can trust you to plug you with the right people, don't miss it. And so it's not on them to take it from there. It's on you to take it from there. And now years later, we're friends as well. Tatrice said hi to you, Uneeka. Tatrice, start.
Oh, I see her. So what I did is just so the viewers know, I am able to peek over at the comments over here. I didn't see them on there, but I thought it'd be good. So I have my Facebook. If you see me look over here, if you see this look, that means I'm looking over at the comments. And so, but I'll do that as needed.
Perfect. Now I don't like a small, I keep it big. Okay, so I wanted to get Uneeka on because I have just been in awe of my friends. I've been in awe of her since I met her, and when we met, we were both still in corporate America, but it seems like we were both on the tail end of that journey. And although we've taken this entrepreneurial journey, there's still parts of us that are in corporate America, but working for ourselves, very much so. And so I have just been in awe of Uneeka because what she is able to do is bridge all things Uneeka into her brand and show up in the corporate space, in the faith-based space, in the individual space if she's working with entrepreneurs one-on-one, and give her all at all times and be accepted. And she knows that I've been begging for a course because she's actually moving in the global space with some of the most well-known companies as an executive coach, doing her Lead Her program. She's actually had companies that have come in and contracted her and aligned with her vision of the need to train women of color executives that are part of their succession planning or already in those spaces. So I'm just excited for everything she's doing. And she always just has great wisdom to share. And so this is good, whether you're an entrepreneur or still in corporate. You're going to hopefully learn a lot, hear a lot. We definitely want to jump into this rewrite philosophy that I live by. And then, you got to give your porch analogy about the access because that works in and outside of the workplace. And
Right.
in some relationships, because, during quarantine, they let them off the porch because they're lonely.
Ma'am. And that's the biggest mistake we can make because when you're not lonely anymore, they still in the living room or you done got them up into that bedroom and
right.
Get them out.
Okay, so let's start there because it's Friday, so we can talk about a little bit of everything.
All right.
So, so the first thing, let's talk about, you always emphasize that no is a complete sentence, and about understanding the levels of access for the people in your life. So can you articulate that for the people watching?
So it's been interesting. I made a post recently where I said, because I've started to get these speaking invites that have been for relationships. Like, we want you to come to this relationship conference or the singles conference. And when you know me, if you're in the house, even if you're in the living room, I'll come and speak for, whatever you want me to speak on. But when you're not in the house and you start asking me that, I'm like, how do I get this brand? Because that's not the goal, right? And it came from the fact that as I stepped through kind of rewriting my own life, my love rewrite and the access rewrites for me, that resonated with a lot of people. And I shared, that story openly. I've shared that process openly. I'm pretty, transparent on Facebook about those things. And when you start thinking about access, the thing I realized is that that had allowed a lot of people extremely close to be really close to me and given them titles that, one, they weren't qualified for, and two, they never applied for. So they weren't qualified, to be in that space. And they never actually asked me. They didn't, I'm casting them into these roles that they never even auditioned for. And now I'm the one left feeling broken or abandoned or rejected or frustrated by their inability to perform in something they never wanted to be a part of in the first place. So that was like one group. The other group were people that fought and clawed their way into access. And because of my need to be accepted or my need to have some validation, and because of maybe what their title was, their access was, how I perceived them to be, I allowed them to get into certain places. And it didn't serve me well. So then I started to realize I'm the prize. When I show up, I'm the prize. Like, and what I mean by that is not just, and I'm not saying that the Uneeka is the only prize. You're the prize. Each person that's viewing today, you're the prize. But so often we downgrade who we are and elevate everybody else. And that's why we give access to people that shouldn't have access. And so in the process, I started to evaluate, hey, what's the level of energy that's required for this access? Right? That I have to give off. How much is this? A lot of heavy lifting? Every other day I gotta talk you off the ledge or convince you that I love you or I'm seeking validation or I need to hear from you.
Are we dating? It feels like, are we dating but we just girlfriends? Like
like what's happening right now? Are you upset that I didn't return your text in a certain amount of time? Like I started looking at that. But then I also started looking when all hell was breaking loose in my life. Could I call you? And not the could, meaning, is it possible for me to pick up the phone and dial your number? But the could, was I comfortable becoming naked in front of you? Was I comfortable stepping off of a status, out of an airbrush picture, out of a photo shoot? Was I comfortable in that manner? Because if I wasn't comfortable in that manner, the chances are I've improperly placed you someplace that you weren't supposed to be, whether I did it or you worked your way to that place. You really weren't a part of that. And so when you start talking about access, for me, it comes into different levels. One, and I stepped through, that's what you're looking for me to step through, that kind of where the levels are. And so for me, I say, think of access as your house, right? And so if you look at access as your house, there are people that should only have your address. They should be driving by, but they bet not come down that driveway. They can, for me, my mailbox used to be at the end of my driveway. So the mailman could make a delivery, but I didn't know his name. Never got to know his name because I very seldom got to see him. He didn't know it. He could maybe see that my shrubs were trimmed, that my lawn had been taken care of. He may know the color of my front door, but he better not come down that driveway. So those are people that kind of know you. They may be able to even locate you, but they're still not intimate with you. Then there's people that come to the porch. They get to the porch and, in this pandemic, I got to tell you, one of my favorite porch people is the Amazon guy.
Oh, yes. Bless them.
Listen, I look for the truck. Like I said, my office, I can actually see the street. And I'm like, here they come. I don't know their name because they're always different. Sometimes they're in a truck, sometimes they're in a car. I don't care. But as long as they bring them boxes for me, I feel like, So I love them. They're probably even in my bedroom, but they don't even know how much I love for them, right? But people on the porch serve a purpose.
Right.
But they don't get the intimacy. That's where your transactional relationships are. For most of us, that's what, even our clients that we may be coaching. If your client is in your bedroom, then the roles have gotten reversed.
Absolutely.
If the people in your congregation are in your bedroom, the roles have gotten reversed, right?
Coaches and leaders don't miss that.
There's some transactions that take place on the porch that are extremely important, that may edify your life, but that does not mean that person now qualifies to come inside your house. I will never open the door. I've put masks out there, PPE stuff out there for them. I've put monetary tips out there for them. I've put water out there for them. But guess where they are? Out there. So even though they have purpose, even though they're edifying my life, and they don't even know how much, but even though they're edifying my life, they don't have access. They've never seen me. They've only seen my orders. They know me as a transaction, right? That's the porch. Then you have the living room. The living room is where I'm comfortable enough for you to be into the areas of my house where I have full control. You're going to see the fluffed pillows. You're going to see, you get to use the bathroom that we've cleaned. So, in a spot, it's spotless. So you can use that bathroom. You're not opening up the junk drawer, ma'am. And you're not going up the steps. But in that living room, you have increased visibility and access, but you're still not at a total place of intimacy. So I'm starting to share some things. I'm starting to ask more questions. I may be getting to know you. I'm trying to understand maybe how you fit in my life. And some people will never advance past that. You realize in that conversation that the living room is a great place for them to be. They don't have to ever go up the steps. They never have to be in the bedroom, because the living room is an appropriate place for y'all's relationship. And when I start thinking about, living room people, those are sometimes coworkers that you get closer to. And so you may in the break room start to share certain things, right? Hey, I'm really struggling with, this role, that we have, or I'm having some challenges with my boss, or sometimes people get into too much intimacy in the break room. But those coworkers fit there. Some people that may be your sister friend, but they're not your sister friend, right? We can go to brunch, but I'm not talking to you about my marriage. We can get this bag together. But I'm not giving you insight to how I feel about my kids or what my insecurities are. Right. Then one of the most intimate levels that you can have in this place of access is when that person has climbed the steps, they're now in the bedroom. Now in my bedroom, I am naked. I become naked, right? Well, for me, my bathroom's also in my bedroom. And I had somebody correct me one time and say, well, don't assume everybody has a bathroom in their bedroom. I said, my God, I wasn't trying to offend you. Right. Climb up with me, sis. No, I'm not here to climb up with me. With me. But, in my bedroom, I'm getting in the shower and I'm washing off the muck of the day. Right. In my bedroom, if for those of us who have hair that we put on, it comes off in the bedroom. Right.
And my junk drawers in that bathroom in my bedroom is a whole different thing. That's why you got to stay in the bathroom downstairs.
My dirtiness, my filthiness, my nastiness, my vulnerability is in my bedroom. The second thing that happens in that bedroom, though, is I become completely at peace. All of my guards and my vulnerabilities drop because I go to sleep. In sleep, I can't protect myself in my sleep. And so if I think about it, who am I willing to sleep beside? If we're talking about my dirty underwear, not my clean ones where they're nice and folded and color coordinated and in a drawer, but we're talking about the ones I just took off of my bottom. And then who am I okay seeing that? Because that is the depth of the things that go on in our lives that the masses don't see. The masses aren't aware of those things, those insecurities and those different things that, that happen. And when you start talking about bedroom, the challenge that people have is sometimes you're so concerned about being validated and being loved and being accepted that you start snatching people off the property line and pulling them into the bedroom. You start snatching people off the porch and out of the living room. And then you're up there naked and alone. And so I just learned that that didn't work for me.
Right. Or you give them a glimpse of you in the bedroom during your most vulnerable stages, because I've made this mistake, and that's really not a true reflection of me. That was just me in that moment. And so then once I clean the bedroom up and it looks like it normally looks, you like, well, what happened to how that bedroom? Well, that's not how it normally looks. That's just what it looked like in that moment. So you should have never had access to it in the first place. I need to know when I am at a space that I can allow you into my inner circle, into my holiest of holies, which is my bedroom.
Yeah, and you that was such a good point, because when you have visibility, like you have visibility, the things that you're doing with the PowHER Network, the things that you are doing in your community, the things you're doing in corporations, the things you're doing one-on-one, it's unmatched. There's visibility that comes to that, right? And people only sometimes they want you to be what they see, not who you are, right? So when if they get prematurely or they're misplaced into the bedroom, and then they see that piece, that withered hand, you know, God told when Jesus said, stretch out your withered hand if you want me to heal it. And so now I stretch out my withered hand and you can't handle the witheredness of my life. And so the dynamics shift because you don't know how to handle that. Either you don't know how to keep the confidence of it, you know, keep it confidential, or or now you don't have a respect for the anointing and the gifting that's on my life because you saw a moment in time where my hand was withered.
But I'm healed now.
And even if I'm not, you know what I mean? If I'm dealing with an issue that's ongoing, you know, you'll find that people, the other thing I talk about is fans versus friends. Right. Sometimes when we're challenged in our self-esteem and we need validation, we love the people that's like, Uneeka. Yeah, come on in, come to my room and do my nighttime music and tell me how good I am. I'm gonna need you here. Come on, come through. But the challenge there is that when we do that, those people aren't equipped to call us on our mess because they don't even see it. And when they do see our mess, they're crushed. You know, Michael Jordan just did The Last Dance, right? I saw The Last Dance. I've been watching it with my son. And, you know, I saw people like, oh my God, he was this, this, and this. You couldn't handle that truth when he was out there, you know, being who he was. So he waited until after that because he knew that we were what? Fans. When you think about when people make a misstep, they say the wrong thing or they post the wrong thing. I mean, what was her name? Michelle, I think, right? Twitter dragged her and then banned her and canceled her for one engagement. Why? I mean, Gail got fired from the delegation. It was her humanity, and she let her professionalism overtake her humanity for a moment, and it was like we didn't have room for her to make a mistake. And was it a very tasteless time to do that? Absolutely. But does she deserve to be punished forever? No, she's a human. Versus friends, right? Friends say, hey, Uneeka, you out of bounds. But I'm gonna walk down this path with you. I'm gonna make sure that you understand not only that you are out of bounds, but let's walk together to get you back in bounds. Let me help you identify where you messed up and let's get that thing right. That's the difference, right? That's where, you know, the difference between having fans versus friends. Fans are never supposed to make it to the bedroom. Listen, if someone enters your life as a fan, they don't have the capacity normally to shift to a friendship because you're so high on a pedestal for them. And you know, I've had people that have paid money to enter into coaching with me, enter into programs, but what they really wanted was me to be their friend. You can't buy your way into my bedroom. I had a client last year. Let me go ahead and pay your money back. That's not what you signed up for. It wasn't what the agreement was. And so it's important for you to understand, and you can get it through the verbiage. You can get it through what they say about you, what they say to you, you know, how they're interacting. If they have you, your voice is so high in the earth to them, the chances are that person does not have the capacity to handle you at your rawness. Right. And when you show the healthy boundary that you have very clear lines as far as I realize that you are a client and you are on the porch and you are not in the bedroom, but they want to be in your bedroom so bad. I had a client last year that my son happened to spend the day with us to move some heavy objects. And he said to me, my almost 22-year-old, he said, Mom, she's paying you to be her friend. And I was, and guess what? It wasn't long before I had to let that person go because that's not what I entered into the engagement with. And then there's this like heartbroken thing of I'm this terrible person because I have healthy boundaries in my life. And it's like, I didn't mislead you. You misled yourself and you came under false pretense. I want to back up to something you said though, that has stayed with me. You said this to me probably, it's maybe been 2-3 years ago because you were talking about access. And one of the things, and I want every influential leader, business owner to hear this because Uneeka said this to me and it changed the game for me. And it was about understanding what clients get when they get me, and that when they get me, they get access to my network,
to my intellectual property, to the people that I'm connected to. And so that was such a critical thing because we undervalue all of those things. And so since you said that to me, even in when I'm negotiating and explaining what they get when they come onto my client roster, because I'm always working on their behalf.
Right.
And people don't get that. So elaborate on that for people.
So I think that it's so interesting because I find myself saying that a lot. We not only undervalue who we are at times and our giftedness because it's easy, right? It flows. You know, I had someone just the other day say to me, they were like, how do you do that? I was like, how do I do what? Like, I'm not following what you're doing because this is how Uneeka was out the womb. You know, I probably analyzed the doctor. I analyzed what he was doing, his process, if it was effective, you know, the feeding schedule. Does this work? I'm not sure y'all have a standard operating procedure set up for this. What's your cash flow looking like? I've been about my money since I was 2. I remember the first time I got a $1 bill. You know what I mean? The first time somebody was like, this is different. This isn't, somehow this holds more value than these things they gave me before that jiggled in my pocket. And so from that, because, for you know how to look at, to bring people's ideas to life. You understand how to help them create a valuable brand. You understand those things. And it comes naturally. You also have an enormous amount of favor that puts you in rooms with the right people at the right time. And you get an opportunity, you have access to people at higher levels, but that's normal. So what's abnormal for other people is sometimes very normal for us. And because it's normal for us, we don't price it, right? We won't price ourselves into it because it doesn't require a lot of effort for someone to get on the phone with me for 30 minutes and me to tell them what's wrong with their business. I can generally see it pretty quickly. Even, some of the things with their relationships or things like that, although I'm not trying to be a relationship person, I just want to keep saying that. But because I'm like, that's not my work. But I think that it's important that you understand, like, if someone's working with me, whether they're working in a corporate environment or we're working one-on-one or however we're engaging, every time I've had to meet with a private equity firm, every time I have to be a part of the negotiation of a merger or acquisition, every time that I had to manage my own P&L of multi-million dollars, up to $170 million of revenue annualized, every time that I had to meet with multi-billion-dollar organizations and sit in front of their presidents, and with the times that I've been on teams that have actually brought products to market, when I've been on a part of the executive team that orchestrated a sale or was a part of a process of bringing a company to be publicly traded, all of that is what you get in the phone call. You don't you're not getting just, hey, this is Uneeka and here's her pedigree. There's experience that I can't get out of a book, that I could never get out of a classroom, that I can't even get from a mentor, because until you know what it's like to sit on the other side of the table and have someone yelling at you or fussing at you or holding you accountable to you either making hitting a target or missing a target, or the return on investment that a private equity firm has put in place, until you understand your financials at that level and you've experienced it, I don't care what you read in a book. And that's what people get.
Right. And I think, you just hit the nail on the head, because I think that because there's so many fugazi people out here, downloading a certificate or reading a book and getting a weekend certification, that then individuals like us who spent 20 years managing multi-million-dollar portfolios in offices in the C-suites and really having to do the work to negotiate to, I launched the AT&T Uverse product for the state of Wisconsin. And so when we're talking about launching your ice cream brand, I can clearly and effortlessly talk to you about launching this ice cream brand. And it's not to because I'm so fly, it's because I'm so experienced. And so with that, I'm fly. But I want to dig into what you talked about without the womb, you were about your $1, because so many women, especially women of color, feel uncomfortable being about the $1.
So, and even my girlfriend, Shun does a class about that.
She's watching.
Oh, I want to get what's up, lady? So I'm going to just give you a shout out. She has this thing of Think and Feeling Cycle. And I can't remember the name of the class, so I apologize, but y'all follow her. But I think that, let me back up. If you're not about your money, I'm not the person for you to talk to ever. Like don't inbox me. I'm not your person, because for me, I'm gonna say how we make the money. I get it. It is a dream. I get it that you want to save the world, but just so we're clear, there's a difference between a single mother telling you she doesn't have groceries and you praying for her and you having the ability to cash up her without feeling it. There's a difference. There's a difference when someone's about to get evicted and I can pray and hold a candlelight vigil and I can write a check. And so when I say I'm about my money because I know that I'm placed in this earth to be a blessing to others. And it's not cliche for me. For me, it's about the fact that I have to get that money because I need to get that money back into the kingdom. And I get that back into the kingdom because I can use that money to have the capacity to show or have the ability to show people on earth God's love. It's that easy. They're used to people praying for them. And I'm not poo-pooing prayer. You know, I'm a prayer person. I'm a prayer. But I think when you get an understanding that the money that you have, you can use that to actually shift other people's lives. That's powerful. Right. We have, and my other friend LaShawn talks about this. We have unhealthy relationships with our money. We have, and because we have that unhealthy relationship, and we don't feel like we deserve it. And usually, if we go back and think about it, someone told us that. Someone said, "Hey, you know, money's not the only thing, or money, you know, I know one of the things that you hear in the church all the time, girl, I might not even remember the scripture because I didn't block it out, but money is the root of all, the love of money is the root of all. Right. And that's the love. That's it. Am I loving that money more than I'm loving Christ? Is money before God? Is money before? That becomes a different thing. But people took that like, oh my gosh, I need to suffer for Jesus and be poor. Right. Or I don't, in my Bible,
He said he came that I would have life in abundance to the full until it overflows. And so anytime it's not overflowing, I'll be like, where the windows of heaven pouring out a blessing I don't have room enough to receive? It's room. It's room.
And I think that we, as women, we have to get comfortable with making money. We have to be comfortable because there are things that actually flow. There's access that you can only get by writing a check. That's just real. There's access you can only get by writing a check. There have been, I think about this because I see people, and you and I have had these conversations. Yeah, Sean just said, if you're not about your money, I can help. So go see
her. She can. So
you see her, and then you may come see me, but don't come see me.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I always say. Go see Sean, then call me because I'll execute what she teaches.
Listen. But one of the things I was going to say, when we start thinking about our money and we start thinking about, you know, LaShawn says this all the time, money is a currency, it flows, right? And so where do you want, when you start thinking about your neighborhood, where could your currency help it flow? When you start thinking about the education, where could your currency help it flow? When you start thinking about the racial tension that's existing in America, how can you use currency to help that flow to a place that you want? And so where you may not see me hashtagging everything, and you may not see me, you know, throwing up, you know, like, oh, I'm mad about this, I'm going to boycott this person. One thing I understand is boycotts don't work because y'all lie. Y'all don't boycott. Because how do I know? Because I go back and I read their, you know, when they release their earnings, we can see that either their earnings increased or there was no decrease. So either you don't have buying power or you're not, or you're lying. Somewhere there's an issue. But what you can do is I can spend the money to sit at the table with the people that are making some of those decisions.
Right. I
can pay the money to get, so currency. I think if you have a negative relationship with money, go back and figure out how you got there. Why don't I feel that I deserve to make money? Why do I feel like everything that I offer has to be $25?
Right.
Man, you've been living for 45 years or you've been living for 35 years and the value of what you're going to bring is still $25. And that's the thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and that can't come, you know, and so then what happens is to the individuals that are doing that, you walk away with a bill. So you help impact in someone's life. You help shift things completely. And unless you had major sponsorship and some other ways I'm not coming into anything that I'm not at least walking away, breaking even. But now I'm past that. It's got to be profitable.
I'm about to say,
and it's got to be profitable, and it's got to be in a place that not only is it profitable for my organization, but I also can tithe and give to someone else and someone else's initiative that I believe in and can bless some people along the way.
No, that's important. And I think though, when I think about it, you have to go back and think about your worth. Right. You know, and I'm not 100% knocking people that have $25 offers. I don't want you to walk away and be mad and be like, well, I have my $25 offer, but that's cool. Have your 25. It's not even about that. It's, are you properly valuing what you bring to the marketplace? Are you properly valuing that in the marketplace? Because listen, there's going to be a wide range of offers and everybody can win. You have Walmart where you have low cost, high volume. Right. And then you have like a Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom where You know, one item is going to get you the revenue. And so that's, you know, to me, you can decide those things, but to not make money, to, you know, and listen, it's not popular. People get, oh my gosh, I get people heated in my inbox where they're like, you know, I just got a few questions. Here's the link, pay the fee, and I'll show up. But what do you mean? Like, you know, don't you want to help people? You know, you should be in a position where you want to help people climb. I do that. I run no cost, no investment, mentoring programs. I do that. I sit on a board where we service underserviced, you know, young girls, African American girls. I do that when I'm doing all types of other things. But ma'am, you are not in that group.
Right.
So and that's and then you can get on the phone.
Right. And I say the
it's
same thing.
Interesting. Them same people ain't walking into the eyebrow place and the eyelash place and the hair place talking about why ain't you sewing into me?
Right. And I say I get free game every day. I go live every day giving free game. So if you want free game, it's there. However, if you're in my inbox under the auspice of wanting mentoring, but really you want coaching, then I'm quick to say, it sounds like you want a coaching session. This is the price point for that. And people are, you know, and it's always, and it's not to say that people don't need help and that we don't want to help people. I think that I know that my circle of friends, which you are a part of, we help immensely. But it also goes back to that access. And, you know, if you think about, you know, that whole Sheryl Sandberg analogy of "Are you my mentor?" that she talks about in LinkedIn, where she compares it to the nursery rhyme of "Are you my mother?" And it's like, it's an organic thing. Like, let me catch you. If I catch you being great, you'll find me saying, "Come here, girl. You got something. Let me help you." And so my friend Jacqueline Nickelberry is on, and we did a really great thing in Miami, and we're taking it from city to city. There's a Target registry set up to help different shelters that support women and children. There's items on there as little as $1 and items on there for hundreds of dollars. And there was a goal that she set of 2,000 items. We gave 10,000, you know, and so she reached out to about 100 of us across the globe, asked each of us to buy one thing off of it and send it to 10 other people, and it grew from there. And so all of us can do something. But there should not be an expectation that I'm going to give away my services for free, because don't you care about my family eating as well?
Well, here's the thing I think that's important too. The thing that I ask myself is, am I called to you? You know, I have a really good friend named Katina, and Katina helped me with that about a year, maybe a year and a half ago. And she said, what I see, because I would share with her, you know, she people that come in the bedroom for me have sometimes different roles. And I would say, you know, I hold on to stuff, right? For people, like I carry that thing. If they're in grief, I carry it. I feel it. The intercessor in me feels that, right? She was like, you take on too many cases that aren't yours. You pick up these cases. Is that case yours? Have you asked God if you're supposed to serve them? And I'm like, no, I don't, because if they came to me, I assume, she said, right. Start asking God if you're supposed to serve them. There's one thing for me to help people, but there's one thing, you know, to just be open and helping everyone, but we only have a certain amount of capacity. Right. I only have a certain amount of capacity. And I was being stretched because I'm worried about this one and that one and what they're doing. And if their marriage is working and if this thing is happening. And I'm like, no, that comes back to the access, right? You can easily be in other people's bedroom when to them, they're on your porch, but you're in their bedroom. You understand? Like to me, you may be a porch person, but I'm to you, I'm a bedroom person. And so then I started even getting selective about who I allow to take me into their bedroom, because when I'm in their bedroom and when I'm in their bedroom, the challenge that I have at that point is it's a burden on me. Right? When people come into my bedroom, it's the heavy lifting for Uneeka. When I come into your bedroom, I'm doing heavy lifting for you. Does that make sense? And so I have to then even monitor my capacity there. But I want to go back real quick if we have time to on the money thing. I think it is tied to a worthiness piece for women. Oftentimes, I think it's tied to us not acknowledging the full gifting that we bring to the table. At times, I've shared several times. I was an executive. My job is I had financial responsibility over the budget of my organization where I was. And I can tell you 100% of the time that I made an offer to a woman, she accepted. 100% of the time that I made an offer to a man, he negotiated. Amen. 100%. Now I had what would be called a salary band. So I could maybe even pay you anywhere from $110K up to $150K. I'm going to offer you 110 because on your last job, you made 97. So this is going to be a bump for you. But I have the ability and the authority, and you might even be worth, right? I may understand that your past experience, in my mind, I'm going, yeah, I'd probably pay her 130 if she give me some pushback. But because I have a budget, I'm going to offer you a 110. And you're going to say, thank you. And never, ever challenge me. Now, that's important to note because that means that there's something that goes on that we think we don't deserve to be at the table.
Right.
We don't deserve that amount of money. And that's the breakthrough that you get, not from me, but from other people that are, out there in the market working on that. And that's a place where I think we have to work through it because we're discounting what we bring to the table. And we're accepting less when more is available.
I agree. And that's something that I continue to encourage women to push past because it goes back to that ambition gap study that talks about how men will apply for a job that they're 60% qualified for, but a woman will tend to not apply unless she meets all the qualifications. And so ladies, when you're coming in, whether it be for a job or even a contract as an entrepreneur and an independent contractor, like walk in knowing your number. First of all, I always say walk in giving yourself a raise because there is a salary band and there is a budget. And so find out what the average pay range is for that. But then also entrepreneurs decide, like if you can't afford to hire you, if I'm not making as much money as an entrepreneur as I would make in the marketplace, I'm going back to the marketplace because like if I can't afford to pay me, then why am I doing this? Because again, business is about money and people feel so uncomfortable talking about that. But at the end of the day, I'm not doing this for kicks and giggles. I can do the social architecture piece and pull women together and have events for kicks and giggles. And not to say it's not impactful, but the other pieces I do as far as launching brands and speaking and teaching and diversity and inclusion training and all that other stuff, that's about commerce. There's about an exchange of funds.
No, that's real. That's so real. And I just think that we have to think about that, right? We have to think about, and if you're not good at it, study it and practice it. There's, I've been very open. I shared, and that's part of the rewrite, brand. As I'm rewriting, I'm like, hey, y'all, I'm rewriting again, because one thing I never want people to think is that I have it all together. Because I want you to understand that I have withered hands, right? I have things that I have to work through. And I remember, where I found myself, and Sean and I were just talking about this the other day. I found myself, not where I would discount, but I'd be surprised. I'm like, they're going to pay me X amount to do this? Like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. And what I found is that a lot of where I felt my giftedness and my expertise and my brand and my value, I felt it was tied to the companies I worked for and the positions and titles that those companies gave me and the access that they gave me. So even when I came off by myself, one of the things that I had to work through was by myself with what I've been through and what I've learned, I'm worth this. Right. And so I remember Sean and I, we've talked publicly about, maybe not publicly, but I think we have. And if not, just call me and rebuke me later. And I mean later, like after 3. And so I remember, I got really excited about this contract that I gotten. And she was like, well, I don't understand why you're so excited because that's, that's who you are and that's what you should be getting anyway. And I was so offended by it. I was so offended. We had a whole conversation. Like I was teary-eyed. Hear me, okay? I was teary-eyed. I'm getting text messages from her. Let's see why she texted me. And so so in that, I now don't get I'm always giving honor to God. So don't think that. But what I also, when I sign 6-figure contracts, I'm not in awe anymore because I understand what I bring to the table. Right. And so I think it's important that, go back, just like we always talk about David and Goliath. We talk about him getting this, I believe what gave him the courage to fight Goliath was the lion and the bear. Every last woman that's on here, you've had a lion and a bear. There's been some things that you've been victorious over in the past. And so you have to, in order for you, if you got to get the courage up for Goliath to negotiate or ask more in the marketplace or start the business or write the book, go back to the lion and the bear. The lion and the bear may not necessarily look like a contract that you had before, but it may be that you did some negotiations on the PTA. It may be that you were able to negotiate on the choir robes at your church. It may be that you were able to help your ministry do certain things. look for the lion and the bear, and then help that be a part of what's elevating you and putting you in a position to do the next thing.
That's good. And, something that I'm thankful, that you brought up the conversation you and Sean had, my friend Olanda, which and then even you and my mentor John are on the phone. And I have similar conversations with Olanda as I move in this new entrepreneurial journey, when I, win what seems like a big deal to me or get an accolade. And, she's been with me through my whole career as a friend. So she like, so you hype because they just figured out how dope you are. You've been dope. They don't know you had a corner office. You did this, you did that, you did this. And I'd be like, can we just be happy about this moment I'm having right now?
Right. But we celebrate for 15 minutes. She sounds like she's your son. That's right. Because son is like, I'm not impressed. I'm like, right.
She's like, I expect nothing less. She expects nothing less of me, from me, and for me. And it's amazing to have someone believe in you like that. And so I would encourage, if you don't have someone in your circle, people watching, that will say to you that you are undervaluing yourself, even when you feeling like you're running at top notch, we need that. We need those reminders, because sometimes we're so in the weeds, we can't see our own greatness. And I love, there can be moments in business, especially when you're in startup and growth mode, that you have lead droughts. And so when you have a drought in any area of your life and you feel like you are desperate, that every little thing that feeds you, every little thing that gives you, like if you're thirsty, every little drop of water, even if it's tainted, feels refreshing. And what I've had to learn on this journey is I'm gonna be thirsty a couple more days before I just jump into that.
And so I love what you were saying about who you have around you, because that was you, as you know, that was another rewrite for me. For me, I was more of a loner. I had a lot of relationships, kind of just, with people. I didn't allow people to get close, especially women. I think this thing about being close with women, like I'm not, I'm an expressive person. I'm not really an emotional person. So like the whole crying and like like there's certain things I just be like, I don't really get that. I'm not sure what y'all need from me. And it's only been recent. I talk about this a lot, that I probably have a more of a listen, let's make something clear before I make this statement. I like men and I am single, but I have a more masculine approach to a lot of things, because I'm a daddy's girl. But my daddy is not one of them soft, type of fathers. My daddy is one of those get it right. When I call him with an issue, he's like, so what you gonna do about it? Like, I'm not trying to hear all this whining and what you gonna do. So I'm a daddy's girl. And then when as I went navigating my way through corporate America, there was only one person that looked like me, and that person really didn't mentor me. But all of my mentors that elevated me were white males. And so from either my father and how I watched him get things done, and then from the mentors that I had, that gave me a more masculine approach. And so I developed more of a comfort level having platonic relationships with males more than I would in having those deep relationships with women, right? Right. But then I realized there were some pieces that I just couldn't get from them, because they're not a woman. Like they can't give me that. They can give me, but then there's some pieces, some things that I started to encounter, and even with some doubt. Sometimes men really don't understand fully, if you're not their wife, right? They don't understand how to speak to that little girl that's intimidated, that's dealing with low self-esteem and self-doubt. They may not know how to speak to her, because that now you're into a place of intimacy that candidly in a platonic relationship, you might not want to get that deep in, just depending on boundaries. But with that, I started to look and say, who is in my circle, man? I got all these people calling me sis. Sis. But they don't feel like my sis. They don't feel like it.
And it always be the most random people calling you sis. I never even met you in person. You like, hey, that's a church thing.
And I've said that from the stage before, that I'm not your sis. And it's because then I said, we're too flippant. I'm too flippant with a title. Too flippant. This is my spiritual mom. This is my spiritual dad. This is my sister. This is you. If you have not applied, and you're not qualified for that role, I'm not giving it to you, right? And so I started to say, I need some people that's going to kick me in my butt. That's how I got Sean and LaShawn and Katina and like, or I can go through. We can do the DMX role, you know, on some of the people. You know, I can start talking.
Y'all can do a video,
right? You know, but the reason why those people came into my life was because I recognized that there was a gap. And they weren't put there just to be cheerleaders, but they also call me on my mess. And so if you have people that you've invited into your bedroom, even if they're in your bedroom from a corporate perspective, right? Because there's people that I share my P&L with, and I share my growth, you know, what I'm planning to do from a growth perspective. I'm accountable to them for an increase in my expenses, a decrease in revenue. And so they're in my bedroom from a corporate perspective. Whereas even some people that are in my bedroom as my sisters, they don't get that information. It's not relevant for them, right?
Absolutely.
And so, but when you're bringing people to your bedroom, and I talked about the heavy lifting, don't have yes people and fans in your bedroom because there's no value then.
Right.
You're just standing there naked in front of a bunch of people cheering. You need people that are going to call you on it, that are going to make sure that you are still in agreement with what you said you were going to do. And that's why it's important, like you said, what Olanda and what Sean has done for both of us is say, don't settle.
Right.
Why are you seven? You excited about 5 figures? Call me when you get to 7 figures. When you get one contract for 7 figures, then let's rejoice. I'm like,
and that's basically what right. Girl, look, the bills paid. You know, Nick going to college. You know, and she like no, because she can see it, and she's like no, you know, you can do anything, and it's so important. There's something else that you said. I don't want to lose it. First, Takia Sellers is on here. And, you know, you have to know who in your bedroom to call for what. And that's what you were talking about. And so Takia is my friend that I call. She's always going to tell me straight. She's never going to tell me what I want to hear. Like she's going to be happy for me. She's always happy for me. She's always praying for me. But she always going to be like, tell me more about that, which means I know she's has to go down this road of not agreeing with me for the right reasons. And so we need that. But you know what I find is because I have a lot of masculine energy and I'm real straight up. You know, you'll send me something. What you think about this? I don't like it. You know, I'm real like, and the way both of us work, our texts are usually real quick like that. But we know each other well enough to know we don't got to go all the pleasantries. I love you. All that we know that. And so if you hit me and I know you just want to answer. It ain't got to be, girl, what you wearing, what you doing, what you know, kind of thing. And so, but a lot of women can't take that. And I will say, being in the public space that I'm in, you know, my daughter even said to me recently, like, Mama, why you can't keep friends? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like my best friends, your godmother, a lot. You know, I've had the same friends for a long time. I said, some of these people are just falling off as I continue to evolve, and I'm not running back after them because they weren't meant to be in the space they were in. And John Carpenter said something, he's a pastor. He said that when we come with our problems or our challenges with people that we know have never had the experience, they aren't qualified and don't have a solution, all we're doing is looking for someone to complain to. And ever since he said that, I have shifted who I have what conversation with.
I think it's important to understand seasonality too. You know, there's sometimes we hold on to people beyond the season, and those people may have been equipped and called to be in our bedroom during a specific season, but they were never called to be there for eternity, and not eternity, but for the long haul. Because there are going to be some times that you encounter some people, and as the relationship shifts, you know, I moved away because I used to be the cutoff queen. I mean, and it was, listen, it took a lot for you to get cut off. But once you got cut off, like you don't, I don't even acknowledge you don't exist. Do you understand? Like that's how.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, that's me. I'm still getting delivered.
But what I like to invite you to think about is recategorizing, right? And so that's what I'm like. Oh, okay. I don't have to throw away the person because they aren't in the bedroom anymore, or they may not even be in the living room. They may just get recategorized to the porch or to the property line, but I don't have to necessarily throw the relationship completely away because there can still be some gifting. There can still be some exchange, some support, some love. And I'm not talking about people that create an environment that disrupts peace or that are, you know, are divisive. Some things I moved and you don't even get the address. But there's it's understanding that just because it doesn't fit, like I used to be able to share all the intimate things and you used to have just the right things to say, but now you don't because we change. You know, I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago, last year. And so when you think about that, there are people that may have been close during that period of time that I may still love, but they just don't get all of it. Right. And there also may be sometimes that you have people that you do, you expose yourself to them and you find that they can't handle it because you hear about it. So there's some betrayal or some things that may occur, but now you learned a lesson. You know, and then that lesson doesn't mean have to throw you away, because we have to start taking accountability for the screwed up pieces of the relationship that we have because of what we did and what we brought people into, right?
Absolutely.
That they weren't equipped to handle. And then we get upset with them, but they never said that they could handle that. They never demonstrated it. It was never proved, but you gave it to them. It's just like me talking to somebody who can't run a business and asking them for advice on mine.
Right. So, but what about if they don't handle the recategorization well? And so, because they can feel the shift, how do you handle that?
That's their problem. That's not my problem. That's if they aren't handling it well, that's their issue. Now, here's the thing that I will say, and Shun and I talked about this yesterday too. Shun and I catch up about once every 9 days, and it's usually like a 90 minutes to 2 hour conversation. So I'm getting a lot of gems because that was yesterday.
Right.
And so, one of the things that we talked about is we just don't live in a culture where people have enough difficult conversations. I talk to you. Hey, I just want to let you know, I know we used to be at this place. And because that's part of my, that branding has been out there for me, I'm like, I'll be moving you from the bedroom to the living room, so the conversation happens. And sometimes people will rebuttal and they'll say, well, I don't think, and I'm like, this is really where I feel, our relationship needs to be. I'm also a person that, depending on how close we have been in the past, that if it's time for you to actually exit, I go back corporate on you. We need to have an exit interview. I don't want there to be a whole lot of confusion around where we are. So when you see me and you hug me, you're hugging me from an authentic place. You're hugging me understanding you left for the bedroom and went to the porch. You're hugging me or understanding that we're not, or you're not hugging me, because that ain't gonna go over well either. So you're understanding exactly where you are. So and you have to be able to release people and be okay with how they feel about being released. Because
they handle it rough. They handle it rough
sometimes.
sometimes.
Too many years worried about what everybody thought and really juggling all of their emotions. So Uneeka was always like, I gotta make sure this one's good. I make sure it's good. Don't say this. Don't say that. And I'm in a relationship going, this is too much. I don't even want to be here. And I had built a whole life that from the outside, not everybody, but most people are like, oh my God, your life is so great. This is so fantastic.
Right.
And I'm suffering in silence. Right. I'm sitting here and I'm not happy with any of the relationships. Not the ones with my kids, not the ones with my spouse, not the ones with my friends. That's why I'm fiercely protective over my relationships now.
I love that. I want to use our last few minutes for you to share what it is you're doing, how people can connect with you. We've got a lot of corporate executives watching. We've got people from all different levels of business. So I just want you to just kind of talk through Rewrite 365, Leader Academy, wherever you feel led to go, and just share how they can connect with you and what type of support you give. If you even got time, because you book.
No, but did you notice that pause, right? Because I was sitting and I'm like, one of the things I've been struggling with, even with the new way we're doing business, obviously, mostly being on Zoom. And I asked myself this question. I said, do you have capacity for any new clients, right? But then I also am looking at my growth projections that I put my top line growth projections. So I'll share and go from there. But I asked that question to myself, and then I gave it to God. And so I believe that whatever He wants to have happen will happen. So what do I do? It's funny to me because I have CEOs that have pegged me as the Olivia Pope, which is interesting, of corporate. Why? Because I fix it. I handle it.
Olivia Dope. That's our Olivia Dope.
Olivia Dope. Okay, cool. And so, when I come into an organization, a lot of times people get confused because, especially those of you that are watching now, and you're like, oh, this Uneeka's this way, Uneeka's that way. Listen, I've sat across the table and I've sat in rooms where I've had to negotiate deals with all different types of people in the room. I do bring my authentic direct self to everything that I'm doing. I don't work one-on-one with people where the check is not written from a corporation. And there's a lot, I can give you a list of reasons why that is, but I won't go into that today. And so normally people, you're not really in a position to be able to just tap me and say, I want you to coach me. I like for those checks to come from a company. And with that, I come into organizations and I help them with their processes. I help them with their corporate culture. I'm currently doing culture shifts in a couple of multi-million-dollar organizations right now. I work with executive teams that are dysfunctional. I also work with individual executives that are either struggling, some that want to go to the next level, some that are in transition. I work with nonprofits. I work with churches. I work with multi-billion-dollar organizations. And so I have a unique opportunity to bring a blended approach. So my background is in training and development. I grew up on the training and development side of the house, and then I transitioned into operations where I ran organizations and ran divisions that were multi-million-dollar divisions and had P&L responsibility. I also have been tapped on the shoulder by private equity firms to come in and help turn organizations around so that they can be prepared for sale. And so when people think about what they're getting for you, when you bring Uneeka in, I'm usually brought in because there's an issue. I come in because there's an issue and we need to work through that, whether it's a people problem, a process problem, a culture problem, whatever it may be. That's why I show up on the scene. And even when people are in a place of uncertainty. So when this started, when COVID started, because I think you had that kind of listed in it about the pandemic proof or something along those lines. When it started, I said, okay, I wonder how this is, what is this how's this going to be, what are we going to do? But between March 13th and I think probably March 17th, over that weekend, like I was in New York City at a client site when the announcements were made. I was like, but this is the thing. My phone started blowing up. From CEOs, CFOs, executives, like, hey, how do we do this? I just moved X amount of people to, they're now got to work at home. How do I do, what are your ideas on this? And so I even got a thing where I was like, oh my gosh, that's another thing where if I can understand the vision of an organization and where that CEO is trying to go. And that is something that God has gifted. This isn't something I got on my own. He's gifted me to be able to step through the problems with them. And so I don't just become another consultant or another coach to an organization. I become a confidant, a trusted confidant that the CEO can have a safe place to land when he or she is afraid about where the organization is going, and be able to confide in me, and me to be that voice, that's talking back from behind the scenes saying, hey, here's what I think you should do. Here's something that I think you should consider. Knowing that I have, from my visibility, I know your executive team. I know their personality types. I know their strengths and their weaknesses. I know how they're going to respond to this. And so when I'm giving that information, I become an eye to where he or she may have some blind spots. The other leg of our business, aside of just the consulting and the coaching piece, which is on more of the performance improvement part, is the training. We have full-fledged, full training, from leadership training to customer service training to Lead Her. I have Lead Her that's for everyone. I got feedback that people said, what if I'm not an African American or a woman of color? I still need to be led. I said, agreed. But, there's some things we talk about when it's just African American women that, when we're in mixed company, we may not. And so that's out there. Presentation skills training is out there. And so there's, more of that, there's a two-legged approach to that, from performance improvement and then the training to back that up. So I don't believe in just giving the advice. I want to actually teach the teams, the executive teams, and or sometimes the middle management, how to step through it. Once I leave the organization, there shouldn't be a need for you to keep me, right? There should be a term. And in that term, I'm going to equip you and educate you with everything that you need so that when I'm gone, this can continue to flow.
Right. Love it. Love it. It makes
so
complete
the website
sense.
is Rewrite 365.
Yes.
And our public calendar is out there as well.
Yes. So for all of my clients, past, current, future, I'm always talking to people about how to clearly articulate what it is that you do. You just saw a phenomenal example of doing that, because when you become a servant. Yeah, so great.
That's a hard thing. She don't give a lot of compliments.
You just go sip tea while you say that? Really? Lies you tell.
I had to say it.
I know. I am a very selective with my compliments, so we'll put it like that. I'm not easily impressed. How about that? But I'm always impressed with you, because the thing is that, you know, you're part of my mastermind group. You are part of my, people want to look at it as this formal thing when they read Think Grow Rich, but your mastermind group kind of organically evolves similar to your mentor circle. And so I'm thankful for individuals in my life like you, that I can shoot a quick text, what you think about this, you hit me back, and we might catch each other once a month, once every other month. I have no doubt about our friendship and where I stand in your life. And
thank you for that.
Yes, because I understand busy. But my point is that as your business evolves and grows, what you do is, it gets more complex to explain. But she hit the value that she brings. She hit tangible, quantifiable, and qualifiable things that she's going to bring to you. She hit strategy and process when she talked about personality type. So you have to understand your client's vernacular and what the buzzwords are in their business, and your pitch needs to be reflective of what's going to make their ears ring and want them to write a check to you. And I think on that note, we will end it, because it's one-on-one. And Uneeka, I love you so much and appreciate you. And next time, I really want us to talk about cultivating that client roster in our village. My mother, I had her on recently, and she was talking about how well I've cultivated my village, because people need some help with that. And so I would love.
Now listen. I just want to say, this. That's because all y'all on here, you know, watching her. Did y'all see? So one thing I love about her, she always assumes the sale. So she didn't ask me, was I coming back? She said, Uneeka, are you going to be available? She said, so next time. What I want us to talk about, because she's selling 100% of the time, and she's assuming it, right? There is no, you know, I on the same day I put out a note and said, don't contact me on these days. I'm busy on these days. And when y'all see those, don't get offended. But sometimes it's where I'm feeling overwhelmed, because just like right now, I'm sitting, I have 10 text messages that have come through. The phone's rung 6 times, and I'm like, dude, I'm busy. Like this one goes, you available on Thursday to do a? I said, did you read my post? You know, so
I read it and I commented. But
right. So she is always selling. So, you know, I appreciate that about you. And I think that's your walking model of that. You know,
always
understanding
closing
what you deserve and closing that sale with an assumptive sale. I love it.
All right. So, yeah. I love you. Have a great weekend. How's the weather in Philly?
It's raining. Yeah, Trey asked me to ask God for sunshine. And then I realized quickly this morning that I'm not walking in the level of faith that I thought I was, because this child thought that just asking for sunshine. I was like, I'm gonna need to go on fast.
we need some Trey faith.
He's put here to stretch my faith, because I was like, I just ask God for sunshine.
Right.
Oh, okay. So,
I love Trey. You guys should follow Trey. What's Trey's Instagram?
Trey Travels.
Trey Travels. Follow Trey.
Right,
Trey Travels.
Not traveling, but he will be soon, hopefully.
Yes. All right. Love you. I'm going to let you go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your engagement. The questions, Uneeka, in the comments are on my personal page and the PowHER Network Facebook page.
I'll go
just
back
so
and
you know.
Those and
all right.
Right back.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.